Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get that critical heat into the tyres. Don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. Joining me on this very wet day is a man who's no stranger to driving in miserable conditions. Anthony Davidson, you've driven open cockpit, you've driven sports cars. How does the wet weather experience change between the different disciplines?
Well, I wouldn't say there's much difference in all honesty. You know, besides the terrifying closing speeds you find in sports cars with the different categories all sharing the same track, driving in the rain is, well, driving in the rain. Of course, the biggest difference between the two is the closed cockpit versus the open cockpit. You get the luxury of staying dry in the sports car, but if your screen ever gets dirty, well, that's a pit stop, not just wiping your visor or pulling away a tear off. But most of the time, you know, they're both as miserable as each other, to be honest.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Carlson lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas and Hamilton, Sainz, Ricciardo, Norris and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Vettel, Lance Stroll and Russell, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. Tsunoda, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Kimi Räikkönen finishes off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish. That's a new fastest lap of the race. You are in first position, front of the pack. Verstappen is behind you. The gap to the car behind is 1.2 seconds. They're on fresh inters. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 2 laps left. Next time by will be your final lap. You're leading the pack. P1, Verstappen behind. The gap behind us is 1.2 seconds. They're on fresh inters. This is your final lap of the race. Awesome driving today. That's 4 race wins in a row.
A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
As today's winners make their way up the podium steps, the folks at Alpine have shown once again what it takes to build a successful Formula One team. A well-deserved win for them. Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Carlson increases their championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, my driver of the day has to be Charles Leclerc. He was unstoppable out on the track today, weaving through the competition with ease.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Alpine's lead continues to grow at the head of the table. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours.
Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today? Your teammate seems to be having a hard time pushing past the competition this season, don't they? Appreciate your time.